Praying with faith. The whole world wants to know how to pray with faith. Did you know that? The whole world wants to pray to God and get an answer. The Bible tells us how. When we get through these 12 points on praying with faith, you're going to pray with faith. I'm glad I run with a crowd that believes in praying with faith and getting answers. We ask people when they come forward for ministry, do you want prayer or do you want to be healed? Many people go about seeking prayers. Prayers are not enough. Prayers with faith bring answers. The answers are where the fun is. Behold the Son, if you want to pray with faith. A man came to one of our meetings. He owned a big hotel. He was a wealthy man. He had never married. He was a very unclean man morally. He was a man who, for some reason or another, was marked in his youth, and he hated the clergy and took all aspects of the work of God and all people involved in the ministry. He took them to be hypocrites, didn't believe in them, ridiculed them, held them in contempt, because he believed the whole so-called religious system was a manipulation to get people's money. I'm talking about praying with faith. He was so fed up with anything religious, with the church, with the priests, with the ministers, that he swore one thing he would never do, he would never pray a prayer. You don't find many people that don't want to pray a prayer. Most folks want to pray, but they don't know how to pray. And then a lot of people, they want to get an answer from some God, and all over the world they call him by different names and carve him in different forms. This man was just fed up with the whole deal. He didn't want nothing to do with any of it. Even he needed to pray if he could get an answer. But he heard about our crusade, and over 100,000 of his fellow countrymen were going to that crusade in every service. And he was overwhelmed with curiosity to come and see what was going on over there on that big field where all of his people, so many of his people were going. He felt like they couldn't all be fools or fooled by this preacher and his wife from a foreign country. And so one day he came, one evening he came, stood out there among that field of people. And would you believe what we preached on? You know, God knows about people. God knows why we're laying the foundation of this church in the ministry of faith, to lift people to God so they can connect with God and get something from God. We call that redemption. Our classes are all based on that. We have 10 gospel basics that all have to do with that, to help people hook up with God. There's no use to have a big God in the skies if hurting people can't hook up with him. That's what we're talking about. This poor guy, hurting but didn't realize it. You know, when people are angry, it usually always infers that they're frightened. You women think of that the next time your husband acts angry. He's just scared. He's a little boy. So help him over his frights and give him confidence, and he'll tone down. That's the truth. Anger is always fear covered up, seeking to bolster itself. And this guy came and listened to the message, and we preached Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened. Everyone that asketh receiveth. And the one thing he swore he would never do is stoop to the ignorance of praying a prayer to an unknown God. I say to pray with faith first. To Christ we come. Second, we learn that God is not dumb. He's spoken. His word's alive. Third, we behold the Son of God. He came to that meeting. As we preached, God knew He was there. I wouldn't have known how to design a message to help that rebel, that rascal, that wicked man. He'd been a sailor, traveled on boats all over the world, different women every port, a wicked man, swore he'd never marry, wasn't interested in a moral life at all, and hated God and hated preachers, would never pray. But he comes to that meeting and hears me preach to 100,000 people of his own country. Everyone that asketh receiveth. And he decides if he ever is going to try a prayer, that would be the good place to try it. And so he prays. He starts to pray. When the time has come to the end of the meeting, when we begin to pray for the people, he looks up and he doesn't know to close his eyes, and he looks up and thinks to himself, this would be if it ever work anywhere, it ought to work here. And so he starts to pray, and his eyes are blurry. He doesn't know what's happening. He can't see clearly. And all of a sudden, he beholds before him Jesus Christ, the Son of God, standing before him. The Jesus whom he had cursed so many times. The Jesus whom he had ridiculed. The Jesus whom he said didn't exist. That Jesus stood before him. And that big, proud, tough guy fell on his face there on the field and accepted this Jesus into his heart and cried out for mercy and got it and came and told his story. To pray with faith, we behold the Son of God. You understand what I'm saying? Isaiah the prophet said, "Look unto me." The Spirit of God crying out through this man of God, saying to the world, "Look unto me and be saved, saith the Lord. All the ends of the earth, look to me and be saved, for I am God, and there's none else beside me." Oh, how days in I have loved to stand on platforms and tell the world, look to God, look to His Son Jesus, cry out to Him, and you can receive what you want. Today, in this meeting, when we look to Jesus Christ, the Son of God, it's through Him that we have our way to God, and we can get what we want when we come through Christ, the Son. You believe that?